What's up, y'all? Thanks for stopping by the Surge T channel.
I don't know what it is with certain people in the Star Wars community and the YouTube community in general when it comes to these channels. There are some that are pretty darn harsh on Daisey Ridley because recently she came out and said that she wasn't surprised that the fans hated The Last Jedi. It's well known how many people have voiced their just utter disapproval and their disappointment and their disgust in how the film was made and how it was presented. Rian Johnson directing it, and that whole agenda, SJW and feminists and all that was just all over that film. She comes out, Daisey Ridley, and says that she's not surprised that the fans hated the film. And there's some of these people, their channels are saying that, oh, now she comes out because she doesn't have, Disney, paying her the big money for her role, and she's no longer attached to Star Wars, so she can come out now. And why didn't she come out before, especially like defend Mark Hamill when people were bashing him and hammering him? And here's what I gotta say, and this is what I feel. Mark Hamill's at a point where he can say pretty much whatever he's gonna say. And, damn the Star Wars franchise now, and damn the Disney's way of presenting it. And him, he's displeased with how, Luke died and how he got, pretty much taken out from the Star Wars franchise. He doesn't own the name, he doesn't own the likeness or anything, unfortunately, so he can't do anything with it. So he can go out there and pretty much say whatever. Daisey Ridley has a very long career ahead of her. And I would think that if she's a part of Star Wars, I'm pretty sure that her and John Boyega, and I would say the rest of everybody that's in the film, had a gag order telling them not to say anything derogatory or anything bad about how Star Wars is going, how The Last Jedi was going. Yet there are some of you out there who want to say that she's all these kind of just things that you want to say about her. Like, it's not worth repeating because some of you are pretty awful. The thing about it is that apparently you guys, maybe some of you do, but a lot of you don't know how the movie business goes. I'm not saying I'm an expert in it, but I do know, and I've listened to podcasts and I've listened to interviews and celebrities and all that stuff, and there's gag orders. You're told, and that you cannot, say anything bad about, a film or a franchise or a company or whatever that you're working with. You do, then you get terminated, or you might get blackballed or blacklisted, and nobody wants that. Daisey Ridley, I'm sure, doesn't want that. I'm not saying this is the reason why she didn't say anything in the beginning, but to me it makes that kind of sense that she is going to not say anything to rock the boat. Now that the film is in the can and she's no longer, I guess she's not going to be in any future films for Star Wars. And if she is, they might take this into account that she came out, but I don't think what she said was really anything that bad, in the sense that, is it going to keep her from remaining in the Star Wars universe in the future films, especially Rian Johnson talking about doing another trilogy for Star Wars? All she said was that she can understand why the fans hated it. How is that going to put her in trouble, or put her or have her, she's going to end up in hot water because of that? So to me, it's like, all y'all need to chill on that stuff when it comes to just pretty much just from all corners, man, just coming down on her, because she's in the business of making movies. She's in Hollywood, and we know how it is out there. We know, ever the slightest thing that you say that does not go within the status quo, the way things are now in Hollywood, you're pretty much putting your career in people's hands, and they could easily just squash it, and that's it. So, kind of go easy on the young lady. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure that she doesn't want to say anything to harm or damage the legacy that is Star Wars. And she's pretty happy, and she's very proud of the fact that she's part of it. Even though it's a confusing part, we don't know who she is, what her lineage is. There's people saying that, she was created from the DNA from Luke's severed hand. And we all remember what happened in Empire Strikes Back when he had his hand severed by Darth Vader. And then, of course, we found out later on, not even in that same scene, that, that he utters those famous words, that I am your father. That's kind of a wild, I don't know if that's just a theory of somebody out there, some wild thinking theory of somebody's that says that. Or they probably got it from the horse's mouth, who knows, but that's my thoughts right there on Daisey Ridley. There's 3 ladies that are in the news, and the next one I'm going to talk about is Brie Larson, and she apparently has signed on for 5 more films in the MCU. 5 films, like, what could they possibly be? 2 more Captain Marvels, and then she's going to be in like 3 Avenger films, or is she going to be a part of like Black Widow, or is she going to be a part of another Spider-Man film? Who knows? What do I think about Brie Larson? Because the more I watch these channels that talk about her, the more I listen to interviews and watch interviews and see her, the more she comes off very hateable. The more you see her, she doesn't reel you in and make you a believer in her. She continues to really just repel people. You know what I mean? It's like we're mosquitoes and she's mosquito repellent, and we just don't want to be around her. You know what I mean? And the fact that she's going to be in 5 more films, a lot of people aren't going to be going to those films. A lot of people are talking about, they'll go watch another Doctor Strange, another Guardians film. They'll check those out. But don't count your blessings with that, because she could easily end up in those films as well, a cameo or whatever. Then what? So if I were you guys, and if you seriously want to boycott the MCU, don't go to any of those films. Because the overall thing is that they're all going to be woke. We know that. There's going to be some element that's going to make every one of those films woke. Because how hard is it not for us to come up with that word in our mind whenever we see the films, Charlie's Angels, Batwoman, all of the CW shows, and all these, I'm pretty sure that Netflix has some shows too, and that are woke. And Brie Larson is the poster child. She's right now, we all know she's the Disney's darling right now, and they're protecting her at every turn. Really like, vehemently, just, about Brie Larson. She does bother me. Just because the way she looks, the way she talks, the way she, gives that smirk and that eyeball, that how she eyeballs people, and the way she, she's definitely hateable. But some of these people out there that are on their channels, they just throwing spitting venom, like a spitting viper, just spitting venom at her, and stuff. And it's like, yeah, she definitely is someone that is like, she's like, seems like to be like poison to anything that she's in, and honestly, 5 more films, that's just 5 films for y'all to just, to skip, and she'll be gone. She'll be back in obscurity like Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. and even Scarlett Johansson's going to be doing Black Widow. So that's what happens, man. You're part of a franchise, and you are on top of the world, and then what happens? As soon as you leave that franchise, you are persona non grata. Nobody is gonna even miss you. You're not even in existence anymore. And then that's my thoughts about that with Brie Larson signing for 5 more films. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about is this young lady, a singer named Halle Bailey, and she is cast. Just announced that she's cast as in the lead of Little Mermaid, the live-action Little Mermaid, and she will be playing Ariel. What's funny about this whole story is the fact that when everybody looks at her name, right away everybody thought it was Halle Berry. And even when this guy that I follow on Twitter, when he said Halle Bailey and he was saying something about her casting and all that, and I swore every time you look at her name, you always right away think Halle Berry, and I go, why Halle Berry? Oh, I gotta keep forgetting, it's not her, it's Halle Bailey. But she was trending for some, Halle Berry, just for the fact that people mistook her name, mistook Halle Bailey's name for Halle Berry. And if you look at it just like at a glance, or if you look at it and you're not focusing on it, your mind will tell you it's Halle Berry. And I just wonder what she thinks about this whole thing, about her being mistaken. I mean, she could be cast in a film, but not as Ariel. She's 52 now, so she wouldn't be the Little Mermaid, the young Little Mermaid. I think they can make it work somehow. You know what I mean? But she's busy, doing her thing, and she was great in John Wick. But this girl, this young actress, she's 27 years old, and she's a singer. Never heard of her before. Maybe if I were to look it up, and I'd probably be like, oh, okay, I know that film, or I know this, or I know that. Okay, that's maybe, I don't know her songs or her albums or whatever. I don't know about that either. But my personal opinion on it is the fact that people are going that how come they're casting her? She's African American, and Ariel is red hair, and she's white. My thing is that if they casted this young woman and it's because of the fact that she can do the role and she has a good actress, that's fine. Maybe they hired her also because she's a singer and she could probably sing the songs that Ariel sang. I mean, I never seen The Little Mermaid. I've seen snippets here. I don't know if she sings in the animated film, but if they did it and hired her because of her talent, because of her acting on, that's fine. But if you're doing this to push an agenda, because I understand the African American community, they want more representation, but how about you get representation by portraying an African American character? Look at a film that was released in 2009, The Princess and the Frog, and that was Disney's first black princess. They couldn't do a live action adaptation of that. It's been 10 years. I guess that's enough time to redo that, to remake that, what I mean? But if they're hiring her for her talent, that's fine. But if they're doing it for an agenda to push a thing that that's always been here for I don't know how long, where the African American community want representation, and that's fine. That's all well and good. But if you're going to just go after well-established characters and change them to fit your agenda, it's not going to look good. It's going to ruin a noted and very, very popular and well-loved franchise. Twitter, I've seen a little bit of this and that, a little bit of backlash, a little bit of people just questioning why. That's the normal thing to do, is to just ask why. But it gets to the point where that's just old now, because we're always asking why. But to me, if this young lady, Halle Bailey, if she was chosen because of her talent and because she can pull off the role, then more power to her. But if they're doing it for the agenda and they want to push this agenda when it comes to feminist SJW, the African American community wanting representation in film and all kinds of media and all that. That's where it becomes pretty shaky, and it comes off as just not right. If you want to be represented, go after your own thing. Push your own ideas, because I'm sure you guys have ideas. There are existing characters, whether they be gay, African American, whether they be transgendered, whatever. You can go out there and you can find these type of characters and you can make your films. You can actually make suggestions and add those kind of characters into like the MCU, into like DCU, EU, and these other films. You can't go around changing everything, because then what's going to happen to the generation that's coming up now? They're going to be like not knowing the classics. They're going to be seeing all these different ones and not realizing that there was an origin for these films that they're going to be seeing, and they're not going to know about that. Well, that's my thoughts on those three subjects. If you listen to this and if you watch this video, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. And as always, take care.